What is up, everybody? Strong Lead Hook here, back with some PoE2, Dawn of the Hunt. Unfortunately, Grizzy is not here tonight, but that's okay, because we've got some videos, some collabs coming up. But what I did, I wanted to show more gameplay post Dawn of the Hunt and the patch notes. This recording was made in April 7th, so there's been a few hot fixes from Triple G, and the reception from all the content creators and the streamers has not been positive. I would like to make a react video to ARPG Alex. I feel like he brought up a lot of good points. He summarily articulated what I was thinking. I'm trying to put into words what I think about this current patch and all the nerfs that they had done. And that's all that everyone is talking about, the nerfs. All of the nerfs that they did. And they're all valid opinions, especially from the big content creators like Darth Microtransaction, ARPG Alex, Hog. These are all valid opinions. I probably disagree with about 10 to 20% of what they said, but it's nothing major. It's just splitting hairs on my end. But yeah, ARPG Alex, he brought up a lot of good points. You know, despite of him being angry, he still was able to articulate a lot of the things that I was thinking. But what I did want to do was show some more gameplay of my Merc. Somehow my build survived the nerf, and I'm still able to play a somewhat decently, and the combat is slower for me, but it's not so slow that I'm bored. But I think me being a Souls-like enthusiast, I'm naturally gonna have a different take. I'm gonna be a lot less harsh with my criticism versus an hardcore ARPG guy. They want faster gameplay, they want more loot. So even though I'm 50% on what I think about the pace of the game, they might be more on the 25%. 25% positive, 75% negative. I'm more 50-50 about it, if that makes any sense. But earlier I was playing the game. I'm in Act 4. My gameplay wasn't too bad. Died a couple times, but the combat wasn't so mind-numbingly slow. And I'm hoping to recapture that pace of gameplay that I did like.
Should have stayed dead.
But as of right now, it's not looking good for Triple G. They ended up reverting back Tempest Bell, but the build, I haven't used it yet. Well, actually, I have used it post Tempest Bell nerf and reverse nerf, but it still feels terrible. It still feels terrible. I think I had made too many reactionary changes. That's why I didn't want to mess with the build anymore, because I knew they were gonna. I knew that they messed up. They messed up with that nerf. That's why I didn't touch my monk. It's like I'm gonna wait for them to revert it back, because they're gonna realize they made a mistake. They're gonna realize they messed up, and they're gonna end up reverting it back. Going to be a loud outrage from the community. Did they need to nerf the build? Yes. But they're basing it on the top players. They're not basing it on people like me. I'm not a full-on casual, but I'm not one of the... I'm not even remotely close to being one of the best in the game. So I would put myself between the level of a casual versus a hardcore ARPG guy. I do somewhat half decent at the game simply because of my experience in Souls games. And I'm not even a top guy at those types of games.
On this!
I'm hoping to be able to articulate my thoughts about the game, because there is a lot that I would like to say about it. As I've said in my previous video, Triple G, you nerf Tempest Bell, and then you reversed the nerf. You went from 4 hits to 10 hits, and then back to 4 hits. You know, there are other numbers besides 4 and 10. You could have done 6 hits. You could have done 5. The way you did these nerfs, man, Triple G, you should have piecemealed the nerfs. Now, I'm not a game dev. I don't know the job and the kind of career they're in. My experience with programming and coding is very limited. It's more on the electrical engineering side.
Smoke him out!
But I don't understand how you needed to do these big you needed to drop these big numbers. You should have piecemealed it, little by little. With Tempest Bell, you could have went in so many directions for the bunk. You could have done, instead of the hit requirement, you could have just lowered the overall damage and lessened the hit requirement. 2 hits, and you can activate Tempest Bell. But, so you could use it frequently. But the damage is lower. You could have done something like that. That certainly would have created a much more methodical gameplay, because I can use a weaker technique much more frequently. Because you can't get the speed of the monsters, you can't get a combo off. Triple G, I ended up, for my monk, for me to get through a map with no mods, a T1 map, with my level 70 monk, I ended up using my range technique that isn't even a part of the build. It was the Ice Blast, where you spin around and hit a whole bunch of enemies. I ended up using that technique for the majority of it, when I was running maps with a monk. Could barely get a Tempest Bell off. If you want slower, methodical gameplay, these nerfs, you need to piecemeal them, not do these big nerfs. Then you slow down the monsters a little bit. I like the idea of the vision. You know, I like the idea of slower, methodical gameplay, but it sounded good as a principle, as a concept, but the application was where y'all messed up. You know, things sound good in theory, but in practice, it is very impractical. And just flat out sucks.
The rivers shall run red.
See, this is new right here.
Submit.
See,
Kneel.
the pace of the gameplay as of right now isn't too bad. You see this? Triple G, if you're watching, I'm barely doing any damage.
Plunder.
I'm using a lot of combo. He can heal. Who is this guy?
Fall before me. Obliterate. Make a wish.
I don't know what that was about. See, Triple G, see that fight right there? If you guys are listening, that wasn't too bad. Not too bad. Now, this is post hot fixes, April 7th. That wasn't too bad as much as a fight goes, but you got to take into consideration I'm in the minority. I'm in the minority when it comes to this sentiment.
The village, you must
Because I do like the idea of slower, methodical gameplay. You guys are trying to make something new, something entirely different, and I respect that. And all of these things, it sounds good in theory, but in practice is where y'all failed. The application of these principles that you're looking to demonstrate, in practice, it failed. It fell flat on its face. Y'all should hire me as like a consultant or something. If I wasn't playing right now, I'd be perfectly able to articulate everything I want to say. But as you can see, I'm trying to organize my shit. These are drops from since I've been playing the game, Triple G. So don't look at my stuff and think, oh, we gotta nerf the. He's got too much stuff. We gotta nerf that. We gotta get rid of that. Don't do that. At first, it was a joke that y'all don't want the players to have fun. But you know what? I'm actually kind of starting to believe it. I actually would not be surprised if y'all felt that way. I don't think I'd be surprised. And that is extremely concerning, the fact that y'all don't want the players to have fun. And I like Jonathan too. He seems like a real sharp, intelligent individual. He's one of those guys that has a lot of good ideas. He wants to make something new.
Joke on this.
But no matter what, Triple G, don't let this whole thing make y'all bitter and resent the players. I think that this is a part of the process. You can't make an omelet without breaking a few shells. See that? You got your vision, and then I've got the process. Y'all got the vision, I bring the process. And as far as vision, you know, these terms like the vision or meaningful combat, you and your team, y'all need to sit down with the big content creators. Have a Zoom call or something with the heavy hitters in the PoE community. Y'all need to sit down together and properly define, like a hard definition on what this vision is and what meaningful combat means to you. And the reason why you'd be sitting down with the heavy hitters, the content creator, the big content creators in the PoE community, is so they can provide some insight so that you don't go off into the weeds. So that way you don't get crazy. Bring you back to reality, keep you grounded, so to speak. That's to keep you grounded. Maybe you might say, oh, meaningful combat means super slow combat and absolutely zero loot. Now the players can reel you in and say, let's slow down there. No loot, extremely hard combat. That might not go over well with the players. It's for them to temper. It's for them to temper your implementation. Because right now, we can talk about what meaningful combat is and what it isn't. I can sit here and talk about it, but see, I don't actually know what meaningful combat means to you. You and the devs. And that's just like with anything else in life. You know, you have to have principles that guide you. So when things fall apart, when things like these happen, you refer back to your principles, your core philosophy, and say, okay, you gotta take a few steps back and determine where we went wrong. And I'm sure there's some logistical things there. I'm sure that there's logistical reasons and business reasons as to why you couldn't piecemeal the nerfs. Because you know, doing the big jumps in numbers, the big drops in numbers, you know as well as I do that is not a good idea. You knew that. You can't tell me that you didn't know that. You knew it. And you wouldn't be the first game developer to make that mistake either. They do that all. From Software has done that in the past, where they do a nerf and it's too big of a nerf and the community is in an uproar. Now, you can't put slow combat and make it the end-all be-all with meaningful combat. A slower combat pace can be the byproduct of meaningful combat, but it isn't the end-all be-all. With a game like Elden Ring and the Souls games, I can increase the difficulty of the game as much as I want. I can make the game as hard as I want or as easy as I want. When I fight Melania, I can choose to use a straight sword, no shield, just rolling around. No magic. And play the meta level. Or I can use an overpowered bleed build and kill her in a couple hits. Either way, it's up to me to do that. I get the choice to do something like that. As of right now, this game is not high risk, high reward. It's extreme risk, zero reward.
Is personal.
So right now, this combat pace is slower, and I'm okay with it. This kind of pace, Triple G, look at this. This is not too bad right here. I'm rolling around. You know, I'm dodging. I'm not one-shotting him. Right, I'm not taking down half his health.
Just I'll rip your damn throat out. Nowhere to run. Guillotine drops. Rip your damn throat out. That one was for me.
See, I'm not one-shotting everything here. The pace of the game isn't ridiculously fast, but it's not mind-numbingly slow either. So it's not too bad. That boss fight was pretty good. Right, I had to focus, I was engaged. I didn't one-shot that boss. The combat, I would say, was more meaningful than before all these hot fixes. See, before, it was just me doing hit and run guerrilla tactics. That is not meaningful combat. Now what I did here, in my opinion, with this guy right here, this is closer to your vision. It might not be what you would 100% define. It might not be the 100% definition of what you deem to be meaningful, slower, methodical combat, but it's a step in the right direction right here. And I happen to use a build that survived the witch hunt, the pogrom. Probably a bad word to use. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. Now, with a different build, you're not doing that. You're not having that kind of lift. I had fun with that boss fight, but see, it's with this build. Had that been a different build, one of the builds you ran into the ground, now you can see why the 80% of your player base is pissed. I don't even want to look at the monk right now. I don't care that y'all reversed Tempest Bell. That left such a bad taste in my mouth.
For what
I'm
it
just
isn't worth much. There is only enter.
It's just gonna piss me off.
Fragmentation rounds pierce quickly.
So that wasn't 100% division. But I'd wager that it was a step in the right direction. But that's with this build.
How's the clear? Here's what I got. If you find a pint out there, do bring it back.
I'm not clearing, and my build is not optimized at all. It is not optimized.
And here I thought I'd reached the manor already. Bugger.
Now I gotta refund my passives with the monk. I tried to adapt and change the build. Theory crafting. Halfway through the theory crafting, I realized how dumb it was. That the nerf to the monk was a huge mistake, that y'all would have to revert it back because the community was going to be outraged. And I don't understand why you had to nerf the monk to that degree, to such a severity, because the monk is not a tanky character. Not everybody's a top 10 world's best player. And for the 80% of the player base, they follow a build guide, but not 100%. Their gear is not optimized. The passive skill tree is not optimized. There's some individual tailoring to their specific build, even if it is an Eye Strike monk build. So if a casual player is following a build guide that's tailored to their individual, I don't know, maybe it's tailored to them or something like that, that build is not going to be optimized. And if that build's not optimized, a character like monk is not going to have the survivability. It'll get killed in 2 hits. I'm talking about pre-nerf. The monk was already a glass cannon, nerf or not. Now it's just glass. It's no longer a glass cannon, it's just fucking glass. Pardon my French. That's a mistake that FromSoft has made in the past. They look at the top players and they base their nerfs on the top players. They never take the casual into account, which is about 60 to 80% of your player base. How can you overlook such a mistake? You base your nerfs on the world's best players. And even the world's best players are struggling. That's saying something. To base your nerfs based on the best players in the PoE community, how can you overlook such a crucial aspect? I'm gonna stop talking about the monk now. You see, even with this build, I'm still having to dodge hits, and this is my tanky character right here. People are not optimizing their builds 24/7, by the way. I'm using a level 33 helmet. Using a level 33 helmet. Because it's a unique item, that's why. See that? I'm not one-shotting him. Okay? No need to nerf this build right here. Goodness.
Joke on this!
See, if you look at the builds online as far as Gemling Legionnaire is concerned, you can see mine is quite similar, but there are a few minor but pivotal changes to it. In this part of the game, the campaign right here is one of the more harder levels.
You're done!
You see how I'm on the back foot, Triple G? I've had to play like this the whole time.
Another notch on the off.
See, I'm on the back foot the whole time. Not everybody likes that. Not everybody enjoys that kind of gameplay.
Reloading! One down.
Back foot the whole time. And I have to optimize my build. The game is getting harder. when it comes to Souls games, yes, it's not a hack and slash. The gameplay is slower and methodical. However, not every encounter, not every engagement is the same pace. You cannot have every single engagement to become mind-numbingly slow. Even the Souls games don't have that. You know why Bloodborne is such a classic? Because of that's one of the reasons why Bloodborne is a classic. It's because it was a faster gameplay. The combat in Bloodborne was faster, and it was much more satisfying.
Reload!
Not every single engagement in the Souls games, not every single fight, not every single boss fight was slow. Some of them were faster. Some enemies can be killed in one hit. That's why those games were fun. And that's why those games weren't boring. It wasn't just the difficulty. Some of the engagements and some of the fights were... Some bosses, you can do it to where you one-hit kill the boss. Right? That, ergo, the power fantasy that everybody keeps talking about. You can have a healthy blend of the Souls-like with this ARPG. You can have that. But instead of trying to implement the specific methodologies, it's the principles. Slower combat, meaningful gameplay. Methodical combat. And methodical, meaningful combat isn't always related to speed. Speed is a byproduct of methodical, meaningful combat. But it is not the end-all be-all. It is not the end-all be-all. You look at Elden Ring, not every single fight is slow. And as you level up in a game like Elden Ring, as you get stronger, you make your upgrades. You upgrade your weapon.
By decree of the Count of Ogum.
The regular enemies, you one-shot them. You can just one-shot regular enemies. Having trouble with these regular white monsters, this ain't it. This ain't it. Elden Ring didn't do that. You could kill regular enemies with one hit.
Reload!
And Souls games in the New Game Plus cycles, that's what made New Game Plus so satisfying to play in the Souls games, is because you knew your character, you got a handle on the mechanics, Your character was gonna be powerful, and you were gonna steamroll everybody, all the enemies that whooped your ass at the beginning of in the beginning of the game. You were gonna get some payback and start whooping their ass because your character is now powerful. You are now one-shotting the enemies that used to one-shot you. That's what made new game cycles satisfying to play in games like Elden Ring and any Souls-like. So you should not be nerfing builds willy-nilly, recklessly, and haphazardly. Just because you see a top player steamrolling maps, tier 5 maps, that doesn't mean that you run builds into the ground willy-nilly. And from what I understand, it wasn't just the monk that got nerfed, or the witch, or the Gemling Legionnaire, but it was damn near every single build. I'm gonna say it one more time. In the subsequent new game cycles in Elden Ring, your character becomes so powerful that you are damn near one-shotting everything. And that's what made Elden Ring fun to play over and over into the New Game Plus cycles. Because New Game Plus 1, New Game Plus 2, you are now steamrolling all the enemies that used to steamroll you. Getting some payback.
This place is right fancy.
And I'm not trying to sound condescending or anything like that. I'm trying to be constructive in what I say. That's why I bring stuff up. I draw these parallels with the other Souls-likes. Because you want a combination between Elden Ring and Diablo 2. And I like the idea of that. Honestly, I like the idea of that. But it was how you implemented it. The implementation was terrible.
It seems shadows haunt us both.
From Software did nerfs too, but I don't remember. In FromSoft's history, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think I remember an outrage like this from the Elden Ring community. I don't ever remember an outrage to this degree where Triple G, you're getting ready to lose a large chunk of your player base. I hope that you realize the gravity of what is happening here. You're getting ready to lose a large chunk of your player base. People are just talking about going to Last Epoch, and now I'm not gonna do that because I do see the potential in this game. I do see it, and when this game first came out, I really enjoyed it. I thought that this is the best. This game is getting ready to be the best ARPG of all time. get ready to replace Diablo 2 on the throne. You went from that to this. That ain't good. That is no bueno. I gotta replace my charms. And I really do want to like this game. I really, really do want to like it. The fact that you're trying to create a Souls-like ARPG, that's what hooked me in, but the implementation and the dodge roll, please do something about the dodge roll. Dodge roll sucks. Okay, the dodge roll is meant to be dodge. It is meant to dodge, to get away from harm's way, from danger. I should get more iframes in these dodge rolls. I should be able to push enemies with a dodge roll. I'd almost say we should be able to pass through enemies. I think we already can, but the recovery frames are just terrible. The speed and the recovery frames is terrible with a dodge roll. I'm not saying it's useless. I am not saying it is useless. I'm just saying it could be better. It could be better. I can't remember if it's Chaos that does the damage. I wonder if it's that or it's bleed. I want to say it's bleed. Pretty sure it's bleed. Yeah. Is it bleed? I cannot remember. I need to up my charm game.
Breathe this in! Wild creature!
So, today's finally the day. Hey, old friend. Cover!
See how I can't fight him head on? See how I can't go in there either.
That's all I need. Who needs virtue check? Love this job.
That one was less enjoyable. As far as engagements are concerned. I'm trying to fight that guy. Monsters are coming out of nowhere. That is annoying.
Well, that's one down.
To the audience, we got about 15 minutes left.
Breathe this in!
To push through this, but we're not gonna get through this whole thing tonight. And that's okay. That dodge roll is way too funky.
That's him. Soon. Very soon.
Before all these nerfs, I remember struggling with that boss with the monk, and my build was not yet complete. You took a build, a character that was already properly challenged in the campaign, and further ran it into the ground. I can only imagine what campaign is like now. I can only imagine. If I was already struggling with Count Geonor when the game first came out without any nerfs or nothing like that. On a glass cannon build, I can only imagine what it is now. I'm worried about what Grim Feast might look like when y'all finally put it back. I would say don't even put it back. Just leave it alone. Get rid of it entirely. Just get rid of it entirely. Because I don't want to play this emotional roller coaster of, oh yay, I've got a good build. Or no, I don't have a good build because look at you ran it into the ground. Again. For the umpteenth time, so don't even put back Grim Feast. No one is trying to be a part of that emotional roller coaster. about 5 minutes left. I'm trying to kill this guy in 5 minutes.
First ones, hear our
All I did was
laments.
touch it.
Sanity received.
Say religion is dangerous.
So as far as fights go, that one wasn't too bad either. I was comboing, I was dodging. It wasn't a one-button spam fight. We got about a couple minutes left. I just want to bring up that.
Smoke him out!
The reason why you don't want to do these big nerfs, because now look at what you're doing. Now you're having to jump around back and forth between nerfing, reverse nerfing, nerfing, reverse nerfing. Players get drained with a mental roller coaster like that. Players get drained because they've invested a lot of time and effort into that build. So you take their build, you run it into the ground, and then you bring it back. I mean, on one hand, I'm grateful that you reversed the nerf on I Strike Monk, but that sort of mental roller coaster, players are gonna, you can't expect that to go over well. Over a stretch of time, players will eventually grow to hate this game because of these up and down nerfs. That's why I say piecemeal the nerfs. Do it in smaller increments. You know, because the effort that it took you to nerf and reverse nerf would have been the same as you piecemeal, you know, doing it in shorter increments. It's emotionally exhausting to do these up and downs. Because my build is good, now it's bad, now it's back to being somewhat good. But that's gonna be it for today. I don't know if I'm done with this topic or if I want to bring up more things. I'm trying to be as constructive as I can and not come across whining. But with that being said, Triple G, if you see this is some of my takes on the Dawn of the Hunt. And, you know, for everybody else, I appreciate you tuning in. We're going to continue on with Path of the Hunt. I'm not moving on to another game. We're going to see which direction this takes us, this whole debacle. We'll see where we go with this. Hopefully, things turn out okay and the PoE fan base don't start quitting. But with that being said, thanks a lot. Have a good night.